The access door hissed open. Commander Gorak stepped inside the observation lounge of the interstellar transport Driftwind. His large Grok frame filled the doorway. Behind him, 5 armored Grok warriors followed, their boots heavy on the polished floor. The humans in the lounge moved quickly. Some lowered their heads, some stepped aside without being told. None made eye contact. A ship attendant, small and human, greeted them with a smile. "Commander, your reserved seating is this way," Gorak grunted. He didn't bother to respond. His golden eyes scanned the room. The forward lounge was wide and clean, with floor-to-ceiling windows showing the swirling blue and purple of hyperspace. This was the best part of the ship. Space, comfort, luxury. It was where the powerful sat, where real species belonged. Tira, his young aide, followed him silently, keeping 2 steps behind. "It's better than the last transport," Gorak said, without turning. "That one smelled like weak feet and boiled leaves." "Yes, Commander," Tira replied. As they passed, Gorak noticed the humans again, always sitting in the back. Always quiet, always small. One was reading a data slate, another helped clean a spill near a table. One even knelt to fix a seat module. Gorak laughed. Back row suits them. Easier to ignore. Tira didn't answer. A few hours later, the ship cruised smoothly through hyperspace. Drinks were being served. Music hummed in the background. Aliens of all shapes and sizes relaxed, and then the lights flickered. The lounge dimmed. A sharp clang echoed through the ship's hull. The engines roared louder than usual, then sputtered strangely. The windows showed a sudden flash of white, then black. The ship dropped out of hyperspace. Emergency lights blinked red. Everyone stood up. Voices grew loud, confused, scared. "What's going on? Is this a malfunction? Why are we stopping?" Tira looked at Gorak. His jaw was clenched. "Get the captain, now." The Grok warriors readied their weapons. The atmosphere changed. No one relaxed anymore. Then a voice came through the ship's intercom. "All passengers, remain calm. We are experiencing an unknown disturbance. Security is investigating. Please stay in your assigned sections." Gorak turned toward the viewport. What he saw froze him. A ship, small, dark, and fast, hovered outside. It didn't match any known design. No visible weapons, but its presence screamed danger. "Pirates?" one Grok asked. "Maybe," Gorak growled. "But they're fools if they think they can touch this ship." Tira's eyes widened. She pointed silently. The unknown ship opened a port. Something launched. Fast. Impact. Boom. The entire Driftwind rocked. The front corridor exploded in flames. Screams filled the air. Gas hissed from vents. Fire suppression systems kicked in. The observation lounge turned into chaos. One of the Grok warriors was hit by falling debris. Blood splashed across the floor. "Seal the doors!" Gorak shouted. More explosions followed. The alien passengers scattered, yelling and pushing. Panic spread like fire. But the humans didn't move. While others screamed and ducked, the humans in the back row stood up, slowly, calmly. One woman pressed 2 fingers to her ear and spoke quietly. Another lifted a metallic case from under his seat. It opened with a hiss, revealing something smooth, black and glowing. A man in janitor's uniform pulled off his sleeve. Underneath was a hidden interface. He touched it. His eyes turned blue. Tira saw all of it. Her mouth dropped open. "They're not scared," she whispered. Gorak growled. "They're too calm." The human woman, Ramirez, walked forward. Her eyes scanned the burning corridor ahead. She crouched by the injured Grok warrior. Without fear, she removed a small scanner from her belt and began treating his wound. The Grok's eyes widened. Who are you?" Ramirez didn't answer. A door on the side burst open. A masked figure stepped in, one of the intruders. Black armor, no emblem. Silent. He raised his weapon. Ramirez moved faster. A single step, a spin, and her fist connected. with the attacker's neck. There was a crack. The figure dropped to the floor limp. The room went quiet. Everyone stared. She didn't explain. She just looked at the other humans and nodded once. That was all it took. The humans scattered with precision. 2 moved toward the engine room. 1 vanished into a maintenance shaft. Ramirez and the janitor headed for the bridge. Gorak watched, confused and shaken. "They're organized," Tira whispered. "They're trained." "Who trained them?" Gorak asked. She didn't reply. The ship's intercom crackled again. This time the voice was colder, robotic, alien. "This vessel is now under control. Resistance is pointless. Comply and you will not be harmed." Ramirez tapped her communicator. "Bridge lockdown is active. We have 1 injured. Proceed to secondary override." The janitor nodded. "Copy that." They moved through flames and falling metal like they'd done it before. Gorak grabbed Tira's arm. "Follow them." "But do it." Tira followed quietly. She moved through a broken hallway and found a hidden maintenance tunnel. From there, she saw everything. Ramirez placed a small cube against a door. It blinked green. The door opened. Inside was the command bridge. 2 of the black-armored attackers were already inside, threatening the ship's captain. Ramirez stepped, and they turned their weapons too late. She threw a small device. It flashed with bright white light. The attackers screamed. 1 fired, missed, then collapsed as the janitor slammed a tool into his helmet. The second attacker tried to run. Ramirez kicked his leg out, then pinned him with a twist of her elbow. The captain blinked. You're not just passengers." Ramirez looked at him calmly. "You were never alone, sir." Tira covered her mouth. They had been watching. The humans had always been ready. Back in the observation lounge, Gorak received a transmission. It was Ramirez. Her voice was firm. "Commander Gorak, this is Lieutenant Ramirez, Terran Special Recon. The ship is secure. The threat is neutralized." "Terran?" he growled. "Yes. We were placed on this transport under Protocol Blacklight. Covert defense units. Observation. Only unless activated." "Activated by what?" "Mockery," she said coldly. "And a threat to innocent lives." The call ended. Gorak sat back, stunned. He looked at the other passengers, aliens trembling, hiding, shaking, and then he looked at the back row. Empty. No humans there now. Tira returned to the lounge, her face pale. "Well?" Gorak asked. "They didn't wait for orders," she said. "They moved like one mind, like they'd done it 100 times." Gorak stared at the viewport, still glowing faintly with hyperspace residue. "Why the back?" he asked. "Why? Do they always sit in the back?" Tira didn't answer. Because they never wanted attention. Because they remembered. Because they were waiting. Gorak leaned forward. For the first time in years, he felt something strange. Fear. The security footage should have been blank. No one had entered through the starboard corridor. Not after the breach. Not after the explosions. The hallway was destroyed, metal twisted like paper. Fire systems had already locked it off. And yet, the recording showed movement. A figure, human, walked through the wreckage. Not ran, walked. No helmet. No armor. Just a plain maintenance uniform and glowing eyes that shifted from white to violet every few seconds. The sensors flickered. The footage glitched. Then the camera feed died. Captain Reelan of the Driftwind leaned back in his chair. His face was pale, sweat collecting under his antennae. He was Trelkin, a species known for calm and logic, but this didn't feel logical. They moved like ghosts. He said softly. Ramirez stood nearby. Her uniform was torn in places. Black marks scorched her sleeves. Yet she stood tall, unaffected. "They've been trained to move through war zones undetected," she explained. "It's what blacklight units do." Commander Gorak paced the bridge now, jaw tight. Why didn't the Galactic Council tell us humans still had these units? Ramirez turned to him, cool and steady. Because the Council didn't know. Earlier. In the engineering bay, the chaos had barely started when two humans had already arrived. The first was Rika, tall, silent, with short hair and a calm face. The second Callan looked younger, but his hands moved like he was rewiring the universe. 3 intruder signals left, Rika said. 2 moving toward the engine room, 1 stationary, likely guarding backup control. Callan nodded. I can bypass the safety locks in under 30 seconds. Rika crouched by the main core. Then do it. From above, an alien technician, Vunari, peeked out from behind a wall. His fur bristled. He had just seen Rika place a glowing orb against a panel. What are you doing? He stammered. Rika didn't look at him. Saving your ship. But you're humans, passengers. She finally looked at him, her eyes dark and distant. Not tonight. At the same time, near the cryopod's chamber in Deck 4, the last intruder waited silently. He wasn't just any pirate. His armor was custom, his weapon charged with dark plasma, his breathing was slow, mechanical, and he was humming. The humming stopped when a shadow passed behind him, too quiet. He turned, firing, but he hit nothing. A voice came from behind. Too slow. The masked pirate swung again, wildly. A hand grabbed his wrist. A human, short, older, bald, stepped into view. His face was scarred. His eyes were cold and tired. He said one thing. Your kind always forget one truth. Then he slammed the pirate's head into the wall with brutal force. Humans never truly left. On the bridge, Gorak stared at Ramirez. This is absurd. Humans haven't been a major power for a century. Ramirez nodded. We were removed from galactic politics. That doesn't mean we forgot how to survive. Captain Raylan leaned forward. But why place your people on this ship? Ramirez tapped a control on the panel. A small hologram appeared. Images of several ships destroyed with the same black armored symbols found on the attackers today. Because this isn't random. These attacks have a pattern. Small civilian ships, non-military vessels, all with high-ranking council members aboard. Raylan's antennae twitched. Assassinations? Ramirez nodded. Or something worse. Silencing. Gorak crossed his arms. And your people just happen to be here when it happens? She held his gaze. We were meant to be here. Down in Medical Bay, the injured Grok warrior slowly opened his eyes. The last thing he remembered was pain, fire, weight crushing his chest. Now he was alive. A human sat beside him, humming softly. It was the janitor. Except, he was working with advanced medical tools no janitor should have. You're not who I thought, the Grok said. The human looked at him. Neither are you. You stayed to fight. That's rare for a Grok. They locked eyes for a moment. 2 warriors from different worlds, both bleeding, both breathing. What's your name? The Grok asked. Isaac. Mine's Renok. Isaac nodded once. Next time, duck faster. Renok chuckled. Next time, warn me before throwing chairs. They both laughed. A secret room under the driftwind, one not listed on the ship's public blueprint, was now open. Inside, a black vault began to pulse with energy. Rika and Callan arrived, breathless. The vault door was marked with strange symbols. Old Terran code. Pre-Empire stuff. Forgotten tech. We're not supposed to open this, Callan said. Rika touched the edge of the vault. It was warm. No, she whispered. We're supposed to wake it. Gorak stood beside Captain Raylan as Ramirez showed them a transmission log. This signal was sent the moment our ship exited hyperspace. Raylan frowned. To whom? Ramirez turned to look at him. Not a whom, she said. A what? Then the screen glitched. A phrase appeared on the monitor. Ancient Earth script, barely used anymore. Reclamation sequence initiated. Ramirez's face turned pale. No. Not yet. Gorak growled. What is it? Ramirez spoke, voice heavy. Earth's last sleeper system. It thinks the war has started again. Boom. The entire ship shook again. Once, twice, then silence. In the vault chamber, the black orb cracked open. From inside, a pulse of light exploded outward, silent, invisible to most species. But everyone felt it. The humans gasped. The grok stumbled. Even the ship itself groaned. In the observation lounge, Tira stood alone, watching the windows. The stars outside seemed wrong, too sharp, too close. She touched her chest. Something had changed. Then, she saw a reflection, a child, a human girl standing in the doorway, barefoot with bright glowing eyes. Tira turned. The girl was gone. Back on the bridge, alarms screamed. The ship's navigation system displayed a message. Warning, unrecognized system detected. Coordinates match old Earth Zone 17B. Captain. Raylan stared. That system was destroyed. No, Ramirez whispered. It was hidden. Gorak grabbed her arm. What is Zone 17B? Ramirez looked up. Her eyes were no longer calm. They were afraid. It's where Earth's real weapon sleeps. The chamber was cold, not physically, but in the way that made people stop breathing for a second. The black vault door stood open. No alarms, no flashing lights. Just silence. Rika stepped forward. Her hand was shaking. Callan tried to stop her, but her eyes were locked on the glowing object inside the vault. It was a pod, human-sized, covered in strange symbols, some familiar, some not. The edges looked old, like stone, but it was humming softly with a power that didn't match any. Known tech, Callan whispered. Is that a person in there? Rika didn't answer. Her eyes filled with something close to grief, or maybe awe. Then a sound echoed from the pod, a heartbeat. On the bridge, alarms were still flashing. Captain Raylan barked orders while Gorak stood silent, staring at the location they had jumped into. No star maps show this place, Raylan said, not in the last 500 years. Ramirez was quiet. Too quiet, Gorak noticed. You've seen this before. She nodded slowly. Only in classified data. Earth had fallback locations. If the species was ever at risk of extinction, sleeper systems were activated. Ships like this would unknowingly drift toward one. Raylan frowned. Are we in a trap? Ramirez didn't answer, but she didn't deny it either. Deep below Deck 7 in the now open vault, Rika slowly touched the pod. The moment her skin met its surface, light exploded from it. Callan fell back, shielding his face. Rika didn't move. The pod opened. Steam hissed out. Inside was a man. He looked human. Pale skin, shaved head, heavy scars across his face and chest. But his body had silver lines running through it, like metal had grown inside his veins. His eyes opened, pure, black like a void. Then his voice smooth but ancient. Status reclamation confirmed. Identify commanding officer. Rika swallowed. That's me, I guess. He looked at her. No expression. Mission parameters incomplete. Begin full data transfer. Callan blinked. Wait, data transfer? Before they could move, a beam of light shot out from the pod and scanned both of them. A second later, their eyes widened. And suddenly, they remembered. In a flash, Rika saw another life. Another world. She was on Earth. Before the fall. Soldiers were running. Buildings. Burned. A voice over a speaker. Back up your minds. Emotion storage complete. Final stand initiated. Then silence. Callan dropped to his knees, gasping. I saw my sister. She was 6. I haven't thought of her in years. The man in the pod stepped out. His voice sharper now. You have been activated. The reclamation protocol has begun. Earth's memory must return. On the bridge, Ramirez suddenly gasped and dropped to her knees. Gorak rushed to her side. What's happening? Her hands were gripping her head. It's waking up. The memory net. Across every sleeper. Raylan looked confused. Memory net? Ramirez groaned. Earth didn't store history in files. We stored it in people. Meanwhile, back in the medical bay, Isaac froze, his body locked for 3 seconds, eyes wide. Renock reached out. Isaac? Isaac turned slowly. They opened the pod. Renock stood up. You remember something? Isaac looked him dead in the eye. No. I remember everything. Aboard the observation lounge, the view screen began to change. Tira was alone, still watching the stars. But now the view was wrong, blurry, as if the space around them was shifting. A voice echoed from the ship's speakers, a language she didn't recognize, but it felt like Earth. Then suddenly, the stars bent, not figuratively, physically. The light twisted, curved inward, space itself moved, and an old planet, once hidden behind dimensional veils, appeared. Blue oceans, green land. Tira whispered, Earth? But it wasn't Earth as they knew it. It was something older, angrier. Waiting, back at the vault, the man now fully stood. Designation Silas, he said. Project Eidolon. Final defense system of Earth. Callan whispered, How long have you been asleep? Silas looked at him. Does it matter? Then he looked around. There's a war coming. I need weapons. And I need a fleet. Callan blinked. We have a cafeteria and a broken sensor array, Silas smiled. Then we start small. Back on the bridge, Raylan looked at Gorak. Commander, I don't like this. We're deep in a hidden system, surrounded by unknown technology and ancient memories waking up inside our crew. Gorak grunted. You think I like it? Ramirez slowly stood, her voice calm again. You wanted to know why humans sat in the back, she said. Why we let the galaxy forget us. Raylan turned to her. Yes. She looked at the stars, now bent by Earth's hidden system. Because sometimes, she said, you survive better in the shadows, until it's time to stand up. Deep within the ship's memory banks, a strange subroutine awakened. It had no voice, no body, just data. It connected to old satellites hidden in dust clouds, old beacons waiting for a signal. And then it sent one. Word. Return. Far across the galaxy, ships that looked like drifting debris suddenly activated. Engines hummed. Lights turned on, dozens, hundreds, all of them once part of Earth's forgotten fleet, now awake, now coming home. The stars outside the driftwind were still twisted, bending unnaturally, warping light as if something ancient and massive was breathing beneath space itself. Commander Gorak had never seen anything like it. Even his species, who had sailed across 1,000 galaxies, had no record of such phenomena. The air on the bridge felt heavy. Ramirez stood beside him. Her eyes were blank, distant, like she was somewhere else. She's remembering, said Silas, the ancient man from the pod. He now wore a sleek, matte black exosuit shaped like a second skin. She was a carrier. Gorak turned. A what? Silas didn't look at him. He just kept watching Ramirez. A whisper host. That's what we called them. They volunteered. During the last silence. Callan stepped closer. Last silence? Silas gave a small nod. When the Galactic Council declared Earth extinct. They didn't know we had one last plan, one last scream hidden in quiet people. Carriers who would forget until it was time to remember. Ramirez suddenly spoke. Her voice was layered, almost like two people talking at once. Whisper protocol. Stage 2. Memories unlocked. Fleet recall engaged. She fell to her knees. Meanwhile, in the maintenance bay, Isaac's fingers danced across a console he'd never touched before. Isaac, what are you doing? Renock asked, stepping closer. Isaac's voice was calm, too calm, initializing subgrid defense system, activating drones buried beneath the ship's second hull layer. Renock blinked. We have a second hull? Isaac grinned. We had a lot more than that. You just didn't know how to ask. Suddenly, Parts of the driftwind's interior shimmered, like illusions fading. Hallways stretched wider. Doors they thought were storage units retracted to reveal armories, data cores, and even an AI chamber glowing with red code. Renock stumbled back. "This isn't a transport ship, is it?" Isaac turned. "No, it never was." In the observation lounge, Tira was still frozen in place, her face pale. Outside the viewport, the hidden Earth wasn't just visible. It was watching. Lights moved. On the surface. Patterns in the clouds. Something aware. Then came a low tone, almost like a whisper, vibrating through the ship. The walls responded. Glass shifted. Words formed in languages forgotten by time. Tira read them aloud, barely breathing. "If they return, we rise. If they forget, we wait. If they mock, we remember." Silas entered the bridge with Ramirez slowly walking behind him. Captain Reland turned. "Where are we? What is this system?" Silas looked directly at him. "You are in the Eye of Silence, Earth's final vault. You weren't supposed to find this place. But the galaxy did something stupid." Gorak crossed his arms. "And what was that?" Silas smiled faintly. "They laughed. They mocked. They forgot the ones who taught them fear." He turned to the central screen, where several alien races were now calling in, confused, worried, afraid. A Grok admiral appeared. "Commander Gorak, what is going on? Your ship has gone dark. Your coordinates make no sense." Before Gorak could answer, Silas stepped forward and spoke calmly and clearly. "Earth is not extinct. We were sleeping. And now, you've woken us." The alien admiral went pale. That voice, those words, they match old archive threat. Level red, Earthborn codes impossible. Gorak narrowed his eyes. "What does red mean?" The admiral didn't speak. He just disconnected. Suddenly, all across the driftwind, old systems flared online. Darkened panels lit up in red. Holograms flickered, displaying fleet formations, last known allies, and enemy species flagged in orange. A chime echoed 3 times, followed by an old Earth military voice. "Whisper protocol fully activated, awaiting human command." Silas turned to Ramirez. "Your command now, not me. My job was just to open the door." Ramirez blinked. "Me?" He nodded. "Your memories are back. Your body carries the data, but your heart remembers the reason." She stepped forward, breathing heavily. "Then we call the fleet." Above the ship in high orbit, satellites began firing silent signals. Not weapons, not threats. Keys. Across the galaxy, once forgotten ships buried in ice rings, starless sectors, and abandoned battlefields began to light up. From dead moons, old AI cores flickered to life. Entire planets that had been empty began to show activity. A fleet once thought destroyed had simply been waiting. Back on the driftwind, Renock rushed into the bridge. "You have to see this." He tapped a screen and pulled up a wide scan from their long-range sensors. Blips were appearing. Hundreds. Thousands. Some tiny. Some massive. Silas narrowed his eyes. "The sleepers. They're coming home." Callan turned. "How many are there?" Silas didn't blink. "More than enough." Tira entered the bridge, her face unreadable. She looked at Gorak. "You asked why humans always sat in the back?" He nodded. She pointed to the growing fleet on the display. "We were waiting to see who would survive, who would laugh, who would betray us." Then she added softly, "And now we've seen enough." Suddenly, a high-priority message hit their comms system. Not from allies, from the Zoric Dominion, one of the largest powers in the galaxy. Their supreme commander appeared on screen, angry, panicked. "You are broadcasting illegal signals. Your ship is in restricted space. Explain yourselves." Ramirez stepped forward, straightened her back, and stared him down. "This is human space, and Earth has returned." The commander laughed. "You're not authorized to reclaim." Before he could finish, a massive warship, long and angular with ancient Earth markings, dropped out of FTL right in front of their ship. It blocked the Zoric view, then fired once. The Zoric ship vanished in flame. Everyone on the bridge went silent. Ramirez spoke again. "Send the word to every race that forgot us, every council that erased our name." She turned to Gorak. "You asked who we are?" She smiled, eyes glowing now with raw memory. "We are the ones who taught the stars how to burn. We are the silence before the scream. We are humanity." The stars outside Driftwind were crowded now. What had once been quiet space filled with only drifting light and ancient dust was now a storm of ships. But not just any ships. Human ships. Thousands of them. Some were sleek black like daggers. Others were massive, floating like cities. Many still bore the scars of old wars, and all of them moved with perfect silence, perfect coordination, like they'd never stopped practicing. Ramirez stood on the command deck, staring at the fleet. Her fingers trembled, not from fear, but memory. "I remember the names," she whispered. "I remember the pilots, the captains, the lost colonies." Gorak stepped beside her, arms crossed, face serious. "You said humanity was gone. Extinct. Burned out. But this is not extinction. This is rebirth." Silas, still in his black exosuit, nodded. "That's what the Whisper Protocol was for. We lost the war publicly, but we never stopped fighting in secret." Isaac tapped on a glowing console. "The old AI systems are sinking. Each of these ships has been running simulations for over 200 years. They're smarter now, deadlier." "Captain." Rilon walked up behind them, stunned. "Why stay hidden? Why not come back earlier?" Ramirez turned to him. "We waited until the mocking started." Rilon frowned. "What do you mean?" Silas answered for her. "You all called us weak, forgotten, useless, no threat. That was the signal," Isaac added. "You buried Earth in your history files. Moved on, but we never forgot. And we were never alone." In the communication chamber, hundreds of messages flooded in from alien races across the stars. Some begged for alliance. Some threatened war, and others were just silent. Tira stood at the center, reading each one. Her eyes, once unsure, now sharp with confidence. "The Grok Senate wants a meeting," she said. "They say they were never part of the mocking vote. They want peace." Ramirez didn't look up. "Too late for that," Isaac added. They all sat in the front rows. They watched humanity fall and they smiled. Meanwhile, hidden in the deep core of the Driftwind, a vault unlocked. The door was thick, carved with old Earth symbols and warning codes. Renock and Callan were the first to step inside. What they saw didn't make sense. Not weapons, not data. People. Cryo chambers. Hundreds of humans frozen in time. Scientists, engineers, even children. A soft AI voice echoed around them. "Generation Seed Protocol, active. Civilian restoration at 89%. Awaiting Earth-level reconnection." Renock's jaw dropped. They weren't just hiding ships. They were hiding their future. Back on the bridge, the lead human warship, codenamed Sentinel-9, opened direct communication. A woman's voice, aged but powerful, came through. "This is Commander Ilara Vaughn, Guardian of the Last Earth Fleet. Who commands the Driftwind?" Ramirez stepped forward. "Lieutenant Ramirez, Commander Ramirez." There was a pause. "You activated Whisper?" the voice asked. "Yes." Another pause. "Then you outrank me." Gasps filled the room. Gorak blinked. "What?" Silas chuckled softly. "She carries the key, the last whisper. That makes her the voice of Earth." Ramirez looked stunned. "I never asked for this." Ilara's voice returned. "No one ever does. But humanity doesn't ask for heroes. We make them. Outside the driftwind, Sentinel-9 moved into position. Suddenly, the Earth below changed. The fog over the planet faded. Continents revealed themselves. Oceans sparkled. Lights turned on. Massive lights across the surface. Earth was alive. A shield shimmered around it, then lowered, and from its poles, more ships began to rise. Not sleeping ships, not waiting. New ships. Earth had rebuilt itself in secret. Ramirez watched as a formation of sleek silver vessels formed a spiral over the planet. Silas smiled. That's the Phoenix pattern. Earth's signal of readiness. Ramirez swallowed hard. Readiness for what? Gorak answered before anyone else could. War, back in the starfield above. Not all who saw Earth's return were pleased. From a hidden moon orbiting a dead star, the Zoric Dominion activated their war protocols. In a council of fire-lit chambers, lords from 10 alien races argued. We must strike now, one hissed. Earth cannot be allowed to rise again, barked another. A third added. They were monsters in the old days. Unpredictable. They loved too hard, and hated even harder. But one voice, the oldest among them, spoke. Last, you all laughed, you all mocked them. Now you fear them. On the driftwind, Ramirez received the intercepted signal. They're organizing a preemptive attack. Gorak stepped beside her. I will fight with you. Everyone turned. He stood tall, his voice steady. I was wrong. I thought humans were slow, quiet, weak. But you were listening, watching. And now, I see your fire. Ramirez met his eyes. We don't need your pity. Gorak shook his head. It's not pity. It's respect. Maybe fear. Tira turned from her console. Zoric fleet is mobilizing. 73 warships, heading here. Isaac grinned. Let them come. Silas added. We've been waiting. A long time. Ramirez looked at the display. Earth glowing bright. The fleet of ancient and new ships aligned, and the enemies approaching like a swarm. She turned to her crew. We don't run. Her voice rose. We don't forget. A pause. We don't sit in the back anymore. The stars were on fire. From the edge of Sector 9, the Zoric Dominion launched its first wave. 67 warships, heavy cruisers, spike frigates, stealth strikers, rushed like a black tide toward Earth. But Earth did not wait. The human fleet, old and new, rose together like a storm breaking across the sky. The ships didn't scream. They didn't chant. They moved with silence, with purpose, like memories awakened. Inside Driftwind, the command deck was glowing red. Enemy fleet will breach Earth's shield perimeter in 93 seconds, Tira said calmly, her voice low but steady. Ramirez nodded. Is the Phoenix line in position? Isaac checked his interface. All ships locked in. Old AI systems are synced. Autonomous layers holding strong. Humans are back in the sky. Silas paced slowly near the hollow table. They don't know. What's coming? Ramirez turned to Gorak. You still with us? The Grok commander stood tall, armored now in dark battle plating. They mocked you for sitting in the back. That was their mistake. Now I stand beside you. Above Earth, the Zoric vanguard reached the shield line. Their lead ship, Bloodfang, opened fire. Lances of crimson energy struck the outer defense web. The shield shimmered, then cracked. A scream echoed through every frequency. Direct hit, someone shouted on the driftwind, but Ramirez didn't flinch. Open the vault cannons. Isaac looked up. Seriously? They need a reminder. Isaac tapped the screen. From Sentinel-9, deep cannons emerged, coated in black matter, shaped like ancient Terran railguns, but powered by neutron compression. They fired once, just once. The Zoric cruiser shattered in silence. No explosion, no fire, just gone, wiped from space like chalk on glass. The Zoric command ship panicked. What is that weapon? Shouted a commander. A scout near the edge of their fleet whispered, "It's Earth's ancient tech. The kind we told stories about. The kind we promised didn't exist anymore." Then the humans counterattacked. Battle Pattern Sigma 7. It began. With light. Blue arcs of plasma danced between Earth's restored satellites. The Phoenix line folded around the attackers like a closing fist. Fighters broke formation and punched through gaps in the Zoric fleet, like needles through skin. Inside one human assault ship, pilot Mei Sun gripped her controls. Targeting cruiser, Cluster 3A. Activating Ghost Drive. Her ship blinked out of view, passed through a Zoric destroyer, and reappeared behind it, leaving the alien craft ripped open by pressure vacuum. She laughed. They still don't know what stealth means. Meanwhile, on Driftwind, Ramirez faced another surprise. Tira stood suddenly holding up her comm. "There's another signal." Ramirez frowned. "From Earth?" Tira shook her head. "No. From the other side of the galaxy. A hidden Terran colony." Everyone turned. They heard the call. Tira whispered, "They're coming." In the chaos above Earth, the Zoric forces tried to retreat, but humanity didn't let go. Isaac activated the memory traps, autonomous mines made from data ghosts. The moment a Zoric ship passed one, the mine exploded in light and sound. And memory, old Earth voices, human screams, laughter, the sound of rain. The aliens panicked. Their ships turned wildly, confused. "What is this? Why do we hear voices?" It wasn't noise, it was history. Weaponized grief, weaponized memory. On the edge of the battlefield, one Zoric captain broke rank. He opened his comm. "To the humans, what do you want? What will make you stop?" Ramirez answered, her voice cold. "You wanted us gone, forgotten. You laughed when we sat in the back." She leaned forward. "Now sit down and watch." One by one, the Zoric ships began to fall. Not all were destroyed. Some simply powered down, some surrendered, some ran, and some and chose to crash into the dark. But even as victory neared, something strange happened. The moon, it moved. Not the natural one. A hidden station, a Zoric core spire buried beneath the moon's surface, activated. It rose like a serpent, unfolding wings. "Of tech," Tira screamed. "It's charging a planet killer." Silas swore. "It's targeting Earth." Gorak looked stunned. "We didn't know they had that." Ramirez shouted, "Fire everything at that spire, now!" The human fleet redirected, all weapons focused. Even Earth's surface defense grid roared to life, unseen for centuries. Thousands of blue bolts flew across the void. The spire glowed, then collapsed inward. The galaxy was quiet, but not safe. Even after the Zoric fleet was broken and Earth defended, something was wrong. The strange signal that came during the battle hadn't faded. In fact, it had grown louder. Not in sound, but in presence. It felt like an old heartbeat waking up. Inside the Driftwind's command center, Tira stared at the data. "This isn't just a colony," she said slowly. Silas frowned. "Then what is it?" "It's Earthborn, built before the fall, hidden outside known space, and it's still active." Ramirez stepped closer. "Give me a name." Tira hesitated. "Project Epitaph." The room went still, even Gorak, standing. At the back straightened. "That's a myth," Silas muttered. "A weapon of last resort, built by humans before the Council burned the archives." Tira turned her screen. A black cube rotated, humming with soft red light. "It's real." And it just activated. Elsewhere, in a dead zone beyond the galactic edge, a massive structure turned in the dark. Not a station, not a ship. A machine the size of a small moon, shaped like a folded rose, blooming slowly. Inside, its core, lights flickered on for the first time in 200 years. Cryopods opened. Figures stepped out. Not quite human, not quite machine, something in between, eyes glowing, skin laced with memory metal. A voice spoke within the core. Command received, Earth in danger, all protocols unlocked. Project Epitaph, operational. Back on Driftwind, Ramirez gathered. The team. We're going to it, she said. We need to know what it remembers. Gorak shook his head. If it was made by humans from the old era, it might not accept us. It'll accept me, said Isaac quietly. They all turned. Isaac's eyes burned slightly. A faint silver shimmer ran along his veins. I was born on Earth, he said. But part of me comes from before the fall. My grandfather helped build the seed code of Project Epitaph. Ramirez looked at him carefully. You're not fully human, are you? Isaac smiled faintly. Not anymore, but I still bleed when it matters. Aboard the recon ship Torchhand. The journey to the edge took 3 days in slip space. On the third, the crew saw it. The blooming machine, silent and waiting. No defenses, no lights, just presence. Ramirez, Tira, Isaac, and Silas docked. The white interior was strange, cold, clean, and humming with forgotten language. In the center chamber they found it. A throne, and a figure sitting there. Human-like, old, not breathing, not dead, waiting. When Isaac stepped close, the eyes opened. You returned late, it whispered. I wasn't born yet. Isaac replied softly. The figure smiled. Then maybe we still have time. It wasn't just a weapon, it was a vault of knowledge, memories stored like libraries, old Earth governments, pre-war alliances, lost technologies, projects Earth had hidden from the stars. But one truth hit harder than all others. Earth had never truly surrendered. When the Council welcomed humanity, they erased history, erased pride. But Earth had planted roots deep into space, dormant, outposts like Epitaph, silent watchers, hidden guardians, waiting, watching, planning. Isaac stood in front of the interface. He turned to Ramirez. There's one more thing, he said. A fleet. She blinked. A what? A backup fleet. 15 ships. Human-designed, AI-grown, hidden beneath the frozen world of Noctis 4. Tira's breath caught. Those ships. They move by thought. Isaac nodded. They never needed fuel. Only purpose. Ramirez said. Do they have one now? Isaac touched the console. Yes. Earth just remembered what it lost. Meanwhile, on the edge of the galaxy, the Zorik were not done. Their defeat had made them desperate. They sent a signal to an ancient ally, the Varnak core, not a race. A living weapon, once thought extinct, the Varnak answered, and they were coming, fast, hungry, with only one word in reply. Extinction. Back on Driftwind, Gorak looked up at the stars. You humans were never weak, he said. You were just hiding your teeth. Ramirez stood beside him. We weren't hiding. We were healing. Gorak glanced at her. Will healing be enough against what's coming? Ramirez didn't answer. But from deep space, engines roared. The eye. 15 ships of the Noctis fleet came online. Each moved like a thought. Each whispered the same thing. Earth remembers.